3 women involved with each other sexually and emotionally. 2 have husbands.
It's love, it's hate, it's jealousy, control, power.
Monsters do this kind of thing.
In the early hours of June 15, 2000, newlyweds Michelle Hetzel and Brandon Bloss arrive at the Mineral Springs Hotel, just north of Easton, Pennsylvania. They say they're searching for Michelle's friend, Devin Guzman, who lives there.
Where is she? Got in another fight, but it's no big deal.
Kiri Renner is Devin's lover and admits the two have been having one of their regular fights.
Devin was drunk and I was mad. We were just, pushing each other around, hitting each other. Furniture was being tossed.
Michelle says she's worried because 19-year-old Devin promised to drive to see her 2 hours earlier, but never showed up. Michelle wants to call 911.
So I told her if she wanted to report her missing, that she was going to make the phone call. And I said there was no way I was going to report Devin missing, because she's underage, she's drinking, our car's not registered. And I said, she'll come home.
It's not an emergency.
I'm calling the police. I would like to report a missing person, please.
Michelle calls the Forks Township Police Department and receives more reassurance.
The officer up in Forks really didn't think much of it. Just believed she was out having a good time.
She begins calling friends and telling them Devin has disappeared, and Kiri now gets involved.
I called the rest of her family, and nobody's seen her.
Devin often hangs out with friends until all hours.
Devin was full of energy. She was a good kid. She was just a normal teenage girl.
As the hours pass, Kiri and Michelle take to the streets.
And I am concerned because Devin didn't show up, and she always shows up. She always comes home.
They check out a scenic spot at the Old Canal Museum and find Devin's car. There's relief, but also anger.
Go see if she's in there. You guys are the ones who got in the fight. Go see.
I was mad, she was mad, and she's like, she's your girlfriend, you go yell at her. So I go up to the car and I look into the front window.
I don't see her. She's not here.
What do you mean you don't see her? Take another look.
Devin!
Kiri, who also uses the car, has a spare set of keys.
She was covered up. So I shook her and I said, "Baby, are you okay?" Because I noticed that her lips and her eyebrows were purple.
Oh, 911!
As a new patrol officer, I heard a call be dispatched for another police officer in the city to respond to the Canal Museum. At the time, I was closer than the other officer. I got on the radio and advised him that I was closer and that I could respond to the incident. I saw that the passenger door to the vehicle was slightly open, opened it, and then discovered that there was a female laying in the back seat. She was laying on her left side, kind of in a fetal position. I could also see dried blood on the back of her hair, some blood on the seats, and then there was a small serrated kitchen knife that was in her one hand. I leaned into the car, and that's when I could see the gaping wound to the front of her neck. We contacted our detective division. They notified the Northampton County coroner and also the district attorney, who then arrived on scene. And at that point, they took over the investigation.
I was quite angry because nobody was telling me any information. And finally, the paramedic just looked at me and said, "She's dead."
They almost both appeared to be in some sort of a shock. Michelle Hetzel sat down. She actually moved away from Kiri and sat down on a railroad tie and then started vomiting.
Kiri Renner breaks the news to Devon's divorced parents.
She's barely audible, hysterically crying. You can barely understand what she's saying, you know, except for those 2 words, Devon's dead.
You know, I had a phone call saying, there's been an accident, you need to come down here. I knew in my heart, I knew that it wasn't good. And when I got there, Michelle was across the parking lot and she yelled across, "Mel, Devon's dead, she's dead." And instantly it was like a dagger in my heart.
The police get early clues about the killer.
She had a jacket that was laying over the top of most of her body.
We often refer to that as psychological undoing, which is if the killer knows the victim, that they sort of want them to look at peace and they're remorseful for their act.
Yet mysteriously, for such a vicious wound, there's little blood.
The victim had a very large gash. Her throat had been cut wide open, and there was a significant lack of blood.
That was an indicator that she was murdered somewhere else and then placed into the back of the vehicle.
The back of the victim's sweatshirt was completely soaked with blood, and this tells us that the body was in a different position than what they were found in, and it just looked like a completely staged scene. The knife that was in her hand didn't have any blood on it, not positioned in a way you would hold it.
As well as the knife, investigators also recover a syringe.
The needle part had been clipped off, which if somebody was using a syringe, they would need that.
It appeared to be some sort of an attempt to make it look like it was a suicide on her part.
She had a lot of small nicks and cuts on her hands, showing that this didn't happen peacefully. She was fighting for her life.
Police have an abundance of clues and evidence, including Michelle's car.
They parked right next to the victim's car, so it actually made it part of the crime scene.
Investigators want to question Michelle and Kiri.
The fact that the body was staged, the fact that her friends wanted to report her missing after such a short period of time, and then to have these same people find the body rather than the police is certainly something that's going to pique our interest.
We both left the scene in separate cop cars and went to the police station to give our accounts of what happened the previous 24 hours leading up until we found Devin.
Devon's lover, Kiri Renner, is the prime suspect.
One of the things that's sticking out is that Kiri and Devin have a volatile relationship, and it does get physical. Not looking good for Kiri. Is she physically capable of doing it? Yes, she is. Did they have an argument? Yes, they did.
In June of 2000, Easton, Pennsylvania police begin questioning Kiri Renner about the murder of her lover, Devin Guzman. Kiri and a mutual friend, Michelle Hetzel, found Devin's body on the back seat of her car.
There were a lot of red flags in this case. Kiri was somebody we're looking at very strongly.
Tell me why you did it right now.
I didn't do it.
Tell me what happened right now.
For 4 hours, I'm going through the same stuff, my same story.
When you're a murder suspect, I mean, you're not exactly handled with kid gloves, so we were kind of hard on her.
Kiri admits she and Devin fought that night, but claims Devin stormed off.
She didn't sort of sugarcoat anything. She said, yeah, we had a fight, and she pulled my hair and she'd hit me and I'd hit her.
Patrons in the bar below confirm Kiri's story.
I remember hearing a thump, and the person standing next to me said, oh yeah, it's probably those girls fighting. Then we hear it again, and then it was like bam, bam. And I remember thinking to myself, she's gonna kill that girl. I went up there and I banged on the door, and I said, but what the heck is going on in here? If you don't knock it off, we're gonna call the cops. Everything was broken, and Devin was on the couch, wrapped up in a comforter. And I said, is she okay?
Leave us alone, it's none of your business.
One of the things we wanted to see is if the murder actually happened in the apartment upstairs. So we obtained a search warrant and went up to their apartment and searched it that night. And one of the things we found was, a small amount of blood on the mirror in the medicine cabinet in the bathroom.
Kiri admits the blood is Devin's, claiming she'd cut her hand a few days before. Investigators also find a mat from Devin's car in the shower.
Kiri's telling us, well, we went camping and we spilled, pickled beet juice on it. So they were washing it in there.
Technicians conduct a special procedure in the hope of finding more blood samples, using the chemical luminol.
It's done in darkness, and it actually causes the iron compound in blood to fluoresce naturally. And one of the things we did get was traces of blood in the shower stall. The question comes, can we show that she was killed here? But we didn't have anything that would correspond to the severe injury the victim had to her throat, with arterial spurting and that type of blood being cleaned up.
Word of the murder and Kiri's possible involvement spreads across town.
People would yell and call me murderer, Then all of a sudden, you lose all your friends because of what people are saying.
With so much public animosity, Kiri doesn't feel safe to attend her lover's funeral. Police delve deeper into the women's relationship and discover Kiri's married. Her husband is away, serving in the army. But she'd married out of spite.
Obviously, I got married for the wrong reasons. I got married to, make Devin mad.
Detectives learn Devin and Kiri's romance began back in high school.
Devin was spunky, she was full of life. She was always there to help anybody out. Nobody ever had a problem with her. She was just lovable.
Devin's parents were supportive.
One day she just came home and said, Mom, I'm bisexual. She's my daughter. So if that's what she chooses to do, then you know what? I love her anyway.
I was a little thrown back by it, but you're still my little girl, whichever way you decide to take your path.
But Devin wasn't Kiri's first female love interest. That was Michelle Hetzel.
We were always together, we did everything together, we went to vacations, we spent a lot of time together. me and Devin were just spending more and more time together at the parks and at her mom's house and watching movies, and it started with us holding hands, and then we weren't sure what was going on, and eventually it just turned into a romantic relationship, which is making Michelle mad. Michelle didn't want Devin taking me away because before me and Devin got along, it was always Michelle, Michelle, Michelle.
A love triangle developed. Kiri was now dating Devin and Michelle. But things got even more complicated as Michelle also began a relationship with Devin.
Well, at different times, there was different relationships. So it was really confusing, and it's really confusing for a lot of people to understand.
Michelle's kind of a girly type of girl. She liked to go out and get her nails done and dress up. She was the youngest child in her family. She's a little bit spoiled, a little bit self-centered. Kiri is very frank and forthright. She speaks her mind, even if it makes her look not so good. Devin was really the center of that triangle. She was kind of the prize that bound them all together.
Power is constantly shifting in this complicated relationship. And that's part of the game. That's part of the excitement. The sexuality just makes all of it become very conflicted. It's my girl, no, it's my girl. And they start to fight.
Kiri graduated high school and married to make Devin jealous. Devin and Michelle simply dropped out. Michelle ended up in foster care.
The reasons for that aren't entirely clear because those records are sealed.
Michelle's foster mother had a son who worked as a chemist.
She met Brandon, a straight up, straight arrow, 25-year-old, kind of nerdy type of guy.
Brandon became Michelle's boyfriend, though she continued to see Devin on the side. The love triangle was now a quadrangle.
Nobody seemed to give them advice that said, something's wrong here. You girls really should be talking to a therapist or something because what's going on is not right. They just kind of sat by and let it happen. It can cycle out of control.
Kiri was living with Devin when Michelle announced she was going to marry Brandon. Another sham marriage to create jealousy. Her plan worked, and Devin tried everything to stop the wedding.
Hello?
She phoned day and night.
Leave me alone. Don't call me anymore.
No, we're soulmates. Shall?
And tried to persuade Michelle's parents to intervene.
We're soulmates.
And would constantly drive by her house.
It suggests that there was possibly a borderline personality disorder at work here, not wanting to be abandoned, low self-esteem, lots of drama, lots of push and pull and upset.
Soulmates. No, you don't love him, Michelle.
Things got out of hand.
Michelle filed a harassment complaint against her, and when the wedding actually took place, Devin wasn't allowed to go.
And caught in the middle of these love games was Brandon Bloss.
Brandon and Michelle's relationship was stormy from the start. There were numerous incidents that were witnessed by neighbors of screaming and cursing in front of the house.
I want you to be a normal wife to me. Love me. Stop seeing her. That means love me.
Michelle abused his credit card to such a degree that he needed to take a second job.
You've got jealousy, you've got conflict, you've got domestic violence, you've got all of the elements of a situation that was getting worse over time.
Michelle had married for all the wrong reasons and was soon, discreetly, back in Devin's arms.
I love you so much.
The payout in a love triangle is always having somebody to love you no matter what. So if you walk away from one relationship, you've always got one waiting in the wings, and you don't ever have to be totally abandoned.
But eventually, there can be no winners in a love triangle. Devin and Kiri loved and loathed each other, while Michelle continued to make Brandon's life a misery.
As emotions got higher and higher and more upset, something bad was really bound to happen.
In June 2000, police in Easton, Pennsylvania learned that 19-year-old Devon Guzman was involved in a complex love quadrangle before she was murdered. Prime suspect Kiri Renner tells investigators she loved her.
We'd leave notes with each other all the time, flowers, presents. It was really loving and nurturing. It was a good relationship.
But Kiri couldn't stand Devon being anywhere near her love rival, Michelle, and that was the cause of their latest fight on the night she went missing.
Devin went to her dad. She returned, and she was obviously drunk, and we got in a fight because I knew Michelle was there.
Devon's pager went off. It was Michelle and Brandon's number. When she called, Brandon claimed Michelle was sick and needed her.
Devin wanted to go and see what was wrong with her, because that's what she did. Every time Michelle called saying something was wrong with her, Devin went.
I go to Michelle's. If you're going, I'm going with you.
Kiri was anxious to protect her love interest.
What's she doing here?
While jealous Brandon was determined to keep Kiri away from his wife.
Get her out of here and come back alone.
Whatever.
Kiri's version of events is confirmed by Brandon and Michelle.
When Brandon doesn't let him in the house, he said, no, she can't come in here, she's trouble, she's always fighting, so they turn her away. And it's sort of loud, and it actually gets the attention of a neighbor, even though it's pretty late at night.
Detectives interview the neighbor, who places Devin outside the house around 12:30 a.m. And that proves a turning point in the case. The coroner has placed Devin's time of death at between midnight and 3 a.m. So, in theory, Kiri would have only had 2.5 hours to murder her, stage the body 4 miles away, and return home in time to meet Michelle, who'd come looking for Devin.
It's not that big of a deal. Relax.
It is a big deal. She hasn't shown
It's not
up.
an emergency.
If Kiri was the killer, she would need an accomplice with a car.
Free t-shirt.
How long has she been? Tell me what you did with her.
There had to be another vehicle to leave the scene in.
Meanwhile, investigators receive an unexpected tip from a local man.
The girls would hang out at his house, and since they were underage, he would provide them with alcohol.
If you're gonna be like that, then we will be.
He gave a statement to police. All 3 girls had been hanging out at his house, and Devin and Kiri had gotten into another one of their arguments and fights. And at the end of the night, Devin went home with Kiri, and Michelle was very hurt by that.
Watching you guys make out the whole time we're sitting
You're
here.
so jealous. We're gonna leave.
Michelle offered him sex, money, or both
Sick of them.
in exchange for getting Devin out of the way, taking care of her.
I'm so over them. I'm so over her. You should do me a favor. You should get rid of her for me.
At the time, he said he hadn't taken it seriously.
Because at first I thought she was joking. It was never brought up again, so he just thought it was in bad taste.
Police secure a search warrant for Michelle's home and find a pair of her jeans soaking in the washing machine.
We took a sample of the water, and it tested positive for the traces of blood. But the sample was so diluted, we weren't able to do any further genetic testing. Lab technicians going through the pockets and actually finds a syringe cap, and it's a cap that fits perfectly on the one that's staged with Devin's body.
Michelle's car had been impounded at the crime scene. A search reveals more blood-smeared clothes. Detectives learned Devin and Michelle had recently traveled to the island of St. Croix in the Caribbean, keeping their regular partners in the dark.
Brandon thought that Michelle was going to California on some kind of a medical trip. Kiri had no idea at all.
Michelle would do things to get Devin's attention away from me, and the trip to the islands was another way to try and show that, hey, you know, I could do this for you and Kiri couldn't.
I promise to love you forever and ever.
I promise to love you forever and ever.
For better, for worse.
Better or for worse.
They purchase wedding-type rings, and they exchange what were described as marriage vows on the beach, and they make a plan that when they come back to Pennsylvania, that they're going to leave their respective partners and move in together.
Michelle was sort of always trying to buy Devin's affection by providing things to her. And it certainly was a rather big-ticket purchase.
But it didn't pay off as planned.
The problem is that the plan that they made to move in together doesn't happen.
Police learned the trip cost $7,000, which Michelle charged to her husband's credit card.
I think that she did have some affection for Brandon, but it was more out of convenience that she married him, not love. And it's a shame.
What is this?
You would almost need a scorecard to keep up with what's going on in these relationships. You've got 3 women involved with each other sexually and emotionally. 2 of the women have husbands, and they go back and forth. I love you, I hate you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. They get upset, they beat each other up, they go get drunk. I mean, it's a mess.
You're getting in my face.
Police learned more details about Devin's visit to her father, which had caused the fight with Kiri.
No, you are wearing them. You are my wife, and don't say no.
Michelle was upset with Devin for living with Kiri, wanted her to move out. But Devin wouldn't. You know, why should I move out when you live with Brandon?
Kiri now. What do you mean you're with Kiri? You are with me.
His daughter goes ripping out of the driveway in her car, and Michelle goes tearing off in hers.
Driving away like nuts, you know, and last thing I saw were the taillights.
The blood-smeared clothes, threats to kill, and angry exchanges result in a new prime suspect, Michelle Hetzel. In June 2000, police now believe it's more likely 19-year-old Devin Guzman was slashed to death by a jealous Michelle Hetzel rather than her arch-love rival, Kiri Renner.
Michelle Hetzel I would characterize as someone who was very manipulative, thought she could get away with just about everything by, batting her eyes at you, etc.
That is no other word, but obsessed. I mean, she was totally consumed by Devin.
Michelle was the drama queen of, I need you now, you've got to come now, you know, and it was always so serious and sincere that Devin would just jump and run.
Her marriage to Brandon was stormy.
When Michelle got married, it did turn up the flames. And Michelle, she really loved Devin and wanted to be with her, not Brandon.
Brandon, it appears, was somewhat naive, and so he was not able to spot the manipulativeness and the controlling of Michelle. And so the only thing he saw was, here's a beautiful woman who says she loves me, she'll love me forever. This is going to be a storybook marriage. Just what a wonderful thing.
Reality hit home.
Brandon entered their marriage thinking that she had given up on the lesbian life that she had previously had. I don't think Brandon knew how to handle that.
There are lots of men who experience infidelity in their relationships. And so they feel inadequate, they feel hurt, they feel angry. This is even more acute when you have a woman coming in and taking away a man's wife. It's just an affront to his masculinity, and it's right or wrong, it's the way society thinks.
Having already searched Brandon and Michelle's house, police keep an eye on them.
In Pennsylvania, when your trash is placed at curbside, it's a free search for us. And I figured anything that was missed when their house was searched, if we missed it or if they had it somewhere else, it's going to be in the garbage.
His hunch is right. Investigators find a bandage with a blood stain.
This was consistent with the approximate size of a human bite mark.
The suspicion is that the bite came from Devin as she fought for her life.
Just roll your sleeve up, okay?
Michelle and Brandon are ordered to roll up their sleeves.
And Brandon had a bite on his left forearm.
A forensic odontologist compares the bite mark on Brandon's arm to the blood-stained bandage found in the trash. They match. Now, investigators must confirm the bite came from Devin.
Since we had found this after she'd already been buried, we had to exhume the body to cast her teeth.
It was tough, you know, I mean, we wouldn't want to bury your child twice. But in the name of justice, you know, I did go along with it. It was quite, you know, gut-wrenching, but we let him do it.
We actually wound up casting Kiri's teeth, Michelle's teeth, Brandon's teeth, and comparing everybody's dentition and bite marks to the injury. And the one it was most consistent with actually wound up being with Devin's.
Based on this new discovery and the incriminating items found in the trash, house, and car, investigators feel confident that Michelle and her husband, Brandon, killed Devin. For Kiri Renner, there's relief.
The hardest part about, being the suspect is, everybody downing you, and all of a sudden you lose all your friends because of what people are saying. It just really opens your eyes and makes you see things a lot of different ways.
Investigators know Brandon had a potential reason to kill.
What more volatile situation could you have than having your wife's lover come over to the house to confront the two of you?
But Michelle could also have played a role.
He went to pull them off, they were fighting, and he got bit. That's how he got bit.
Lots of theories, but the police still need hard evidence or someone's story to crack.
Bringing out the trash.
Police are closing in on Brandon Bloss and his wife, Michelle, who they believe are responsible for the brutal murder of 19-year-old Devin Guzman.
Michelle did a lot of misleading of the police with the missing persons call, with finding the body, with pointing all the suspicion at Kiri off the bat. And then when we hear that, you know, Michelle had actually solicited somebody to commit homicide on the same victim.
You want to do it for money?
Both Michelle and Brandon could have wanted Devin dead for different reasons.
Every day he was reminded that it was not this nice, pleasant little storybook marriage as long as Devin was in the picture. Brandon is blaming his rival. He's not blaming his wife.
I promise to love you forever and ever.
I think that Brandon was jealous. I think Brandon wanted Michelle to himself.
Brandon and Michelle claim they'd been worried about Devin and had been paging her all night. But they'd stopped at 12:30 a.m.
And that sort of leads you to the conclusion that, well, if you're looking for her so badly, why didn't you continue to page her throughout the night? And the obvious answer is because they already know she's dead.
Police have compelling evidence. The phone records, the syringe cap found in Michelle's jeans and fitting the syringe left on the body, the telltale bite mark on Brandon's arm, the blood-smeared clothes found in the trunk, later confirmed as Brandon's, spattered with Devin's blood. A neighbor confirms Brandon had been washing something outside.
When we searched in the backyard using a chemical called fluorescein, we wound up finding traces of human blood on the spray head of the hose. And we know from our neighbor across the street that the day after the murder, Brandon spent the entire day basically cleaning up and using that hose all day long in the backyard.
Marks on Devin's clothes also suggest that two people had carried her.
There was a lot of dirt basically around her buttocks area. This also sort of leads us to believe a woman's involved, since that two people weren't able to pick her up and carry her. She wasn't a particularly large woman. She was only about 100 pounds.
At Michelle's parents' home, investigators discover the rings she and Devin bought to pledge their love during their secret tryst to the Caribbean. They also find a key, which is traced to a doctor's office where Michelle worked shortly before the murder.
The doctor was an oncologist, and they used that brand of syringe that we found with Devin.
On August 13, 2000, 2 months after the killing, police charge Brandon Bloss and Michelle Hetzel with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder.
I just didn't want to believe that it was true. I didn't want to believe that Michelle could have done something like that.
The case comes to trial a year later, in October 2001.
It was a very difficult case because we could not tell the jury exactly who the person was that inflicted the fatal injury here.
By the time we come to trial, Brandon and Michelle had separated. Brandon would claim Michelle did it. Michelle claimed Brandon did it.
Prosecutors paint Brandon Bloss and Michelle Hetzel as two jealous lovers. Brandon wanted to remove the woman wrecking his marriage. Michelle wanted to prevent anyone else from having Devin.
They wanted to confront Devin Guzman that evening without Kiri Renner being present.
Brandon, to me, with the bite mark on his arm and the strength required, I think he's the one who actually cuts Devin's throat. It was certainly a concerted effort by Brandon and Michelle to cover this up.
I told the jury in closing argument that, usually we don't have the victim here able to tell us who killed them, but in this case we do. That her last act, her last struggle to trying to save her life was to inflict this bite mark on the arm of the attacker, or one of the attackers. And that was very powerful evidence.
On October 5th, 2001, both Michelle Hetzel and Brandon Bloss are found guilty of the murder of Devin Guzman. Both are sentenced to life without parole.
Somehow he had gotten roped back into that dynamic.
Michelle is the one that needs the control, that is manipulating people. The secondary player is Brandon. Michelle kept pushing and pushing those buttons until Brandon went over the edge and exploded.
I love you. I love her and I miss her. They're being punished for what they did. And now you have to move on. I forgive them for what they did, but don't ask any more of me. I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them. But in my heart, I can't go on anymore, and I can't move on without forgiving them.
It's one thing, to be young and in love. It's another thing to be killed for ending a relationship.